Okay, so hello everyone. This is going to be the section on the KNIME component of the practical that we unfortunately couldn't get through at the Drug Discovery Africa conference. So this component is the practical part. So this is where we're going to apply our knowledge that we learned in the lecture material to design some new molecules using KNIME. So KNIME will allow us to do atom-based, fragment-based, reaction-based construction and be able to explore different types of scoring and search. To be able to install KNIME, we will go and download it. If you have a copy of it already installed using the USBs that we handed out during the workshop, then you can skip this part. However, if you do not have KNIME installed, then you can follow along. So first of all, head to a web browser and go to knime.com. In the right hand side here, press download. Here on the splash page, we can tick I have read and accept the terms and conditions and hit download. At that point, we get to this sort of splash page here, download KNIME Analytics platform, and there are multiple installers depending on which platform you're on, which operating system you use. So for example, we can have Mac, we can have Linux, and we can also have Windows. I'm running on a Windows operating system, so I'm going to download the zip archive. So I'm just going to go ahead and press download. Okay, so KNIME has now downloaded on my desktop. I'm now going to go ahead and right click. I'm going to extract all. So I'm going to extract this into the desktop. You can extract it, of course, into any folder that you like. I'm going to hit extract. And now it will go ahead and extract all of the files that is required to be able to use KNIME. So we'll be back after this has finished. Okay, so KNIME has now extracted, and I can go ahead and open up the folder. KNIME 5.4.3 has downloaded, and then I can just double click on KNIME, this particular application here. So then KNIME 5.4.3 will load. KNIME has loaded. You will be prompted to create a KNIME workspace. This is where all of the workflows are stored. So we can go ahead and create a new one here. So we'll call it KNIME workspace -54. This will just be a workspace. You can create as many of these as you like. Generally, I create a workspace depending on which version of KNIME I'm using. So I'm going to go ahead and press launch. So KNIME will first prompt us to collect and send anonymous user data. Now this is up to you. However, in this particular case, I'm going to hit no. This is then the splash screen for the KNIME Analytics platform. And the first thing I want to do is get the classic interface. So I'm going to go up to the right hand side here and hit menu. And I'm going to hit switch to classic user interface. And that is now the classic user interface populated. We can go up to maximize here. And that is the entire user interface ready to go. So in the next video, we will cover installing new nodes and importing the workflows. Okay, the next step is now to get some nodes installed and also get our workflows imported. Now, the workflows themselves will automatically populate the required nodes. However, there are some nodes that are currently experimental. So what we have to do is go up to File, Preferences, Install, Available Software Sites, And you can see here that we have KNIME Community Extensions Experimental. We're going to tick that and then hit apply and close. And what that will do is that will allow the experimental nodes to be populated. Okay, now that the experimental nodes can be imported, we're now going to go ahead and import the KNIME workflows. So we're going to go up to the left hand side here, File, Import KNIME Workflow. In the select file, we're going to go Browse. We're going to click the DDA workshop nodes. We're going to hit Open. And then we're going to go ahead and press Finish. So what this does is it populates the DDA workshop nodes here. If I double click on DDA workshop nodes, the following error pops up, and this is because we need to load all of these nodes which are not pre-built into KNIME. So if we go ahead and press yes, it will first populate and then look for all of the right types. So we're looking for Vernalis, RDKit, KNIME CDK, data generation, column expressions, and base chemistry types. So we're just going to go ahead and press next. Next, I accept the terms of the license agreement, and then I'm going to go ahead and press finish. So down here we can see that it's currently installing the software. If we click on these green bars here, we can actually see that it's installing the software. So currently it's installing OpenCDK first, or Open Science CDK. So I'll be back once this has finished. So if you go ahead and see this trust artifacts that pops up, if you go ahead and press here, unsigned, this will allow certain bundles to be installed, in particular the CDK node. So if we just then go ahead and press trust selected, you will then be prompted to restart the KNIME Analytics platform. Hit restart now. One of the things here is that we don't want to save the nodes. The reason why is because it won't populate the data. So if we just go ahead and hit no for now, KNIME will close and restart. So now if we open up the KNIME workflow, we can see that all of the KNIME nodes have now been successfully installed. So we are now ready to begin working with KNIME to be able to explore some of the concepts in generative design. Okay, so we're now going to go through building some KNIME workflows. But the first thing that I often like to do is that by default the KNIME UI can sometimes be a little bit cramped. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to sort of give ourselves a little bit more room to work with. So the first thing that I often do, I will remove some of these tabs and reduce the overall amount of clutter that is in the UI. So the first thing that I often like to do is remove the description tab. I can go up here and I can just press close. I then will remove KNIME Hub. At the bottom here, I often will keep the console, but I will remove any other tabs such as progress or node monitor, so I can go ahead and do that. I also often like to have a larger outline here at the bottom, so I will increase that. However, sometimes I also will go ahead and just minimize this, so I can press the minimize button, and we can see that that now minimizes away. And in fact, if we go up to the right hand side pane here, we can click outline, and then we can push this tab back down to the bottom like so. One of the things here is that our outline obviously will allow us to track and move around the workflow easily. But there are some other panes that often I get rid of. So in this case, I get rid of the workflow coach. I minimize that. And I also generally like to reduce the sort of width of the KNIME Explorer and Node repository panes. This gives sort of the maximum amount of space to be able to handle the UI. Okay, so we're now going to go through the process of building some KNIME workflows. And the first thing that I want to be able to do is just step through the different types of nodes that are available. So the first set of nodes that you'll see is the molecular construction nodes, the molecule construction nodes here. And what they are is that we have atom-based, we have fragment-based, and we also have reaction enumeration. And these are the nodes which allow us to be able to build molecules in silico. Now, the next sort of set of nodes is this epsilon greedy search pair here, and this is the search nodes which we will go through in the later videos. Now, to the right of that, we then have molecular scoring. We also have table handling. So molecular scoring is really descriptors and how we can compute them along with different types of filters. Finally, we have these input and output handling nodes. The input and output handling nodes are nodes which are designed to be able to either draw chemical structures, save the CSVs locally, or pre-baked data that we have inserted inside the workflow. To begin with then, I'm just going to go through the process of being able to draw and input a chemical structure. I think this is a good place to start because it gives us an understanding of how KNIME works and also basic understanding of how does KNIME store data inside tables. So to do this, the first thing that I want you to do is go to the draw the structure node, and you can click on it, left click on it, and it will highlight it and it will show this black box, and that means it's now selected. So then I can right click on the node, I can go copy, left click in the white space, right click again, press paste, and it will appear here as a new node. Now, the key thing to remember is this traffic light system at the bottom. So this can either be yellow, which means it can be executed, it can be green, it has finished executing, or it could be red, for example, these nodes at the top here. Red means that it's not possible to execute right now. It's not possible to run the node. Now, to be able to then use the node, we can right click. And in this particular example, I just want to press execute. And what execute does, it turns the node from the yellow state to the green state. And that means data has now been populated. The node has finished and is completed. So if we hover over this black arrow here, we can see we have molecule rows 1, columns 1. If we then right click on draw the structure, go down to the bottom, click molecule, we can see here that in the table, if we just increase the size of the column here and increase the size of the row, we can see here that we have paracetamol that has been drawn. Now, this is the default structure for the draw the structure node that we have provided. If we want to draw a different molecule, however, we can press X here to close the table, right click on the node again, and go down to interactive view, draw the structure. If we click on that, wait for then the structure sketcher to load, we can go ahead and modify the chemical structure as we wish. We can also paste smiles, we can copy smiles. Again, it's just a fully functional sketcher inside KNIME. So for example, I can methylate and I can add a methyl group here to paracetamol. I can go down to the bottom, I can press apply. I want to apply the settings temporarily. I can press OK, close. And of course I could draw any structure I like, but what I want to do is I want to actually now go ahead and reset the node back to paracetamol. So the default of this node is paracetamol. So we can right click, reset, OK. It resets the state. I can then right click, execute, and then go ahead and right click molecule at the bottom, and I can see paracetamol has been sort of redrawn and stored inside the table.